Welcome to the Startup Grind.
How's it going, Gary?
It's going well. Am I on? Yep. I'm on. Hey, everyone.
Hi, Gary. So, thank you very much for accepting our invitation here. Yeah. So we usually like to start off on a personal note for all of our speakers, and so, let's sort of go through like where were you born, where were you raised,
Sure.
and then maybe talk about like what was your first taste of entrepreneurship.
Sure.
Talk about that.
So I was born in Belarus in the former Soviet Union. I came to the U.S. in 1978 when I was 3. I spent 1 year in Queens, New York. Big ups to Queens. No, not from Queens. You just...
No, totally from Queens.
Okay, good. And then I moved to New Jersey and basically grew up in Edison, New Jersey. My first taste of entrepreneurship was when I was 5, when we moved to New Jersey. I started a very interesting business. I see a lot of familiar faces, so I think a lot of people might know the lemonade stand story, but the ones that know me a little bit deeper might know the real one, which is the first thing I really did was literally a week into living in this townhouse development, Dogwood Meadows in Edison, New Jersey. I walked around the neighborhood on one day, pulled the flowers out of people's yards, and rang their doorbell and sold the flowers back to them. So I'm not super proud of that, but that's the first taste, which if you think about it was a pretty smart business model. I didn't really sit on a lot of inventory. Return on cash was pretty good. So that was my first taste. And then I got really serious about lemonade stands when I was 6.
Soprano style, right?
Yeah,
I
had 6 lemonade stands. I literally convinced all my friends in the neighborhood to man and woman the lemonade stands all day. And I spent all my time, ironically, making signs and trying to figure out which trees and, I still think that might be one of my great accomplishments. I mean, we literally ran lemonade stands out of those 90 days of that summer between first grade and kindergarten. I mean, like 50 of the 90 days, I had my friends standing behind a stand for like 7 hours. So, good sales.
Child labor laws that we broke, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing too, like I wanted to talk about was fast forward a little bit. Talk about how you had 30 grand under your bed at 14 years old.
Yeah.
And how you did not sell weed. You promise you did not?
I promise I did
Because you
not.
keep on saying you didn't sell weed.
I did not sell weed.
Because you're from Jersey, right?
I know, no weed.
Okay.
When I was 12, I don't know, looking around the crowd, there's some guys in this age group. Baseball cards completely took over like America with like the 87 tops and, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92. So I was in that age group and I started doing baseball card shows in the malls of New Jersey. And, that was when I really learned how to become I would tell you that I'm pretty sure that the foundation of my business success was selling baseball cards when I was 11, 12, 13, 14. Because when you sold cards at a mall or a convention center or a firehouse or whatever the places I did these shows, you would stand behind a table for 11 hours and all you really did was read people, right? Like I basically stood behind a table and I basically just read people and how they were looking at my cases and I would move things and I basically still just read people. My whole life is reading people and trying to understand consumer behavior and then reverse engineer how to get your money. And, and I think that that's what happened. I was making $2,000 to $4,000 a weekend selling baseball cards when I was 12. And, that was a great thing for me because I was failing all my classes at that point. And, it was a nice self-esteem boost to when my teacher would call me up and say, I'm so disappointed in you, you have so much potential, but you've got like a 36 average on this class. It was easy, that felt bad, and I'm a good guy. I wasn't mad at the teacher. I was mad. I felt bad, but it was easy for me to go back to my desk and be like, yeah, but I made $3,300 this weekend, and prorated. I make $160,000 a year, and I only work 1 or 2 days a year. And so, yeah.
Yeah. So talk about that, where you had failed all your classes and you had mentioned that your mom's friend had tried to make you feel bad because her son was going to Ivy League.
No, my friend's mom.
Oh, friend's mom. Okay, she was, okay.
No, it was just a story of my life. When I was 15, 16, 17, all my friends started getting accepted to all these good schools, or whatever, 17, 16. And there's just one story that has always stuck in my craw. One of my best friend's mom was proud of him. You know, he was going to a great school, Ivy League school. I get it. She wasn't, I don't think she was really, she's a super nice lady. She wasn't trying to get me. But she definitely at this day was extra feeling proud and kind of just, she knew I was a shit student. And she's like, so Gary, I don't know if you heard, Adam's going to, you know, Penn or what, you know, and I was like, yeah. And I just remember the way she delivered it. And I just remember we were standing in his driveway playing basketball, and the way she delivered it was to get me. And I just remember sitting there saying, lady, you have no fucking idea. Your son's going to work for me one day.
I was going to ask you about that. Is he working for you?
No, but he should be. He should be.
Okay. So let's go fast forward to 1997, where you took your dad's business and you grew it from 2 million to 60 million.
3 million.
I'm sorry, 3 million. 3 million.
I love my dad. I want to give him his props.
And you grew that to 60 million in 7 years.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Like, you had created this wine library TV, and that sort of put you on to...
That was 06. I think, okay. My story, a lot of times people think Wine Library TV really drove it, but really ironically what drove it is much more what I actually talk about. I mean, like, the only thing I care about is marketing and doing business in the year that we actually live in. That is my true pet peeve / POV on the world. Yeah. It's 2014. If everything that you're trying to tell people in the world right now is not mobile first, you're an idiot. Right? Like, because the eyes and ears in 2014 are consuming more and more on mobile. Like, it's just the habits of the current state of the way people buy and think and are story told to. Mm-hmm. In 1997, I said to myself, listen, this is 1997, I'm 22 years old. At this point, I've only owned my own computer for a year and a half. I mean, I basically had never used a computer until I was like 19, 20 years old. It's just, I grew up in a different time. Like, computer class was something we took. You've heard what kind of student I was. I don't know what the fuck I was doing in computer class. I still can't type, right? And so, what happened was, it was 1997 and I launched winelibrary.com. I paid some guy $15,000. He ripped me off. He made an HTML site that probably took him 2 minutes. He claimed it took 4 weeks. I've learned since then, right? And I launched winelibrary.com, and I built winelibrary.com on the back of having an e-commerce site when nobody else did. And way more importantly, it was more about 1998 and 99 when I started an email service when nobody was doing that. I mean, email marketing is still being innovated, as we know right now. Nobody was doing it. I built up a huge list. At the time, 50,000 customers, getting open rates that were in 80% because nobody was email marketing. So it wasn't spammed out yet, right? So people were, for all of you that remember 98, 99, you read every email, every word. Right? Because that's how we dealt with email back in the day. And so, I built it on email marketing, and then Google AdWords came out. Nobody was thinking about that in the liquor business. I owned the word wine for 5 cents before they bumped it to a 10-cent minimum. I owned wine, first result, for 10 cents on Google AdWords for 9.5 months before somebody bid me up. Mm-hmm. It was just a different world. Like, it wasn't, people were worried about buying ads in the Wine Spectator and direct mail, and like traditional marketing is still something people very much believe in. You can imagine how it was viewed in 99, and people trying to talk about what's the ROI of social media or things of that nature. People weren't even thinking about banner retargeting and shit like that.
Yeah, so I actually went in your old videos, the Wine Library TV videos, and you had this one video where you're like tasting wine on snow. Were you doing that? With your Jets paraphernalia on?
So YouTube really came out, and my lead developer came up to me. YouTube was like maybe 6 weeks old, and he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, listen, remember a year ago when you were asking me like how much it would cost if we put wine videos on the website?" So like a year or two earlier, I came to him. I was like, "I want to make videos on the internet." I was like, and then, he ran the bandwidth costs, and he was like, cool, if like 9 people watch it, it's $8 billion, right? It was just absurd, right? I was like, forget it. And so he's like, remember that? You should check this thing out. And I looked at YouTube, it just felt super like, holy crap. It felt very much like e-commerce. I was like, this is gonna be huge.
Right.
So in early 2006, I started Wine Library TV. For 19 months, I did that show 5 days a week, and nobody gave a shit, right? So like when I get emails which I get 50 of them a day from entrepreneurs of like, hey, like I know you always talk about patience, like I've been doing this, it's not working, traction, should I give up and do something else? Inevitably I'll email back and be like, how long have you been doing it? Oh, 4 months. And I'm like, fuck you. You know, like you want this to be your life and you're giving up after 4 months? Are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
So I did it for 19 months, nobody cared. And during that 19 months, you know, I was starting to understand what was, Will It Blend was going on, and like the Pepsi and Mentos and all that stuff. And I was like, what can I do? And it was a huge snowstorm like yesterday in Jersey, and I just went outside and taped my episode during the snow. Sure enough, front page dig and all those things. And, I was trying to growth hack, or whatever it was. I was trying to understand what would make it reach people outside of this very narrow niche of, hardcore wine fans.
And then at that point, how many followers did you have?
On the show?
Yeah.
I don't know. One thing, I made a huge mistake about 4 months into the show. My show was 20 minutes long, and there was a video player called Vidler that let you tag certain spots that YouTube didn't, and I took myself off of YouTube and started using Vidler because I could tag the 4 wines I did on each episode, and if you wanted to watch the third wine, you could just hit the button and watch the review of the third wine. So I did that's probably the most critical mistake I've made from a brand building, which was not investing in YouTube all those years. I could have built up a huge following. I kind of let it go, and that's the ironic thing, right? Like, I know that I'm a poster child of like people that broke out on video, and I did. You can go look right now. Wine Library TV, because I put them on way later, have 1,000 or 2,000 views on YouTube. I didn't do it on YouTube. Right. I did it on the website itself.
Right.
Based on the bandwidth costs and some of the stuff that Vidler was showing, at that point there was 25,000 a day. Got up to about 150,000 an episode.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy by today's standards, but in 06 and 07 and 08, people weren't watching online videos like we do now, and they were 25-minute videos.
But that sort of put you on the map, and then you wrote Crush It. And that really gave you...
Twitter was what really changed my career.
Okay.
Twitter came out again. So YouTube came out, I was like, yes. And I was right about e-commerce. And I was right about SEM. And I was right about YouTube. And then I started learning about tech a little bit. And I started reading TechCrunch. And then I see YouTube sells for $1.9 billion. And it writes about angel investors and how these people made money. And I was like, fuck. That seems like a really interesting way to, I'm right about a lot of things. Yes, it's growing my business, but that guy put in $50,000 and made $90 billion. I like that. So I promised myself that the next thing that I saw that was like that, I would try to angel invest. So
we'll talk more about the angel investing.
So Twitter came along, and it just, bless you. Twitter came along, everybody thought it was stupid. I immediately was completely obsessed with it. I jumped all in, and for a long time there, before Ashton came along and real people went on it, I was in the top 30 followed people on Twitter. I spent 8 hours a day on it. I answered everybody's questions. I just completely went all in. I used surmise.com that later got bought by Twitter to search people, to use Cabernet. And then 80 people said the word Cabernet on Twitter that day. And I would literally reply to everyone and be like, which one? How'd you like it? When are you going to Napa? And not trying to sell them on anything, just trying to establish, it was like a cocktail party. It was like this, except I'm giving a presentation now. When it's over, we can all talk. And that's something I love. And so Twitter was really that was very, very big for me, because that's when, Kevin Rose and Dignation called out my show. And all of a sudden, there was these 30 people that were much further ahead of everybody else in followers. And they were all from tech TV and from the world. And there was this wine guy, and everybody was fascinated by it. And then Conan's producers reached out, and that changed my career. Traditional media. Conan O'Brien's producers emailed me and do you want to be on the show? And I was like, who's doing this in my office? I was like, yeah. And sure enough, a car showed up and they took me to the studio. And the first time I was ever on TV, I was just pushed out and did a skit with Conan.
Yeah, that's amazing. My gosh. So fast forward to 2009. You're starting VaynerMedia.
Yes.
With your brother AJ. Mm-hmm. By the way, how's it like working with your brother? I have 2 brothers myself. Is it one day you're fist fight, and then the next day you're all cool? Is it like that? No?
It's one day I want to kiss him on the face, and the next day I want to kiss him on the face. My brother's my best friend, and he's 11 years younger than me. And so, we have almost, and my dad's a workaholic and not superly emotionally unbelievable. He's a little bit of a different introvert kind of style. So my brother, when I was 17, he was 6, right? We have a very kind of like fatherly, brotherly relationship. You know, we're very, very close. I've been training him in entrepreneurship since he was like 8. I mean, poor guy when he was like 9.
He has his own lemonade stands and.
No, because we lived in Hunterdon County, New Jersey. That was all like farm country. At that point, there was no cars driving by us. But when he was like 9, we started spending every single Saturday waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to flea markets and garage sales, and then he would post everything and flip it on eBay. Made some fucking money too. So yeah, we're very close. I loved working with my dad.
Yeah.
I equally love working with my brother.
Yeah.
I hope I get a chance to work with my children. Family businesses, if you over communicate and you care about the other person more than you care about yourself, are the single best thing you can ever do.
Family businesses. Now, I was going to go into that, but so why did you get out of the wine business completely? I mean, you could have. I mean, honestly, you could have created a.
Because of liquor laws.
Liquor laws.
Because of liquor laws. Nothing kills entrepreneurship more than bad rules. And the liquor industry has shit rules.
Yeah.
The end. Can't ship everywhere. Politics.
You don't think it's a disruptable industry though? Like, you know, becoming.
Of course I do. It's why I did it.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I know that one day we got a letter from Texas and we couldn't ship there anymore because the retailers that we were taking business from paid the politicians and they changed the law. And they gave for $30,000 in kickbacks under the table. I lost $4.9 million in sales in 1 minute. And after fighting it for 20 years of your life, you get frustrated. And so the liquor industry, you can go fuck yourself, liquor industry. That's still the
Okay, no, I thought you were talking about our sponsor.
No, not the sponsor.
Okay, got it. She's right behind the camera too. She's like,
no, that was the
come
camera.
back here.
That was the camera. You know, it's really sad, right? Like I think about it for like a net neutrality or anything else that's going on. You know, it's sad. You know, ultimately what happened was I just didn't think that I could accomplish. I do not want my upside or hard work or all the effort that I put in controlled by a couple of human beings. And that's liquor laws. Prohibition came. It's state by state regulated. There's a ton of shady stuff. It just ultimately sucked the energy out of me. And it's the liquor industry's loss because I would have been a great entrepreneur and done a lot of great things for the industry, and they deserve to lose.
So if you want to get into the liquor business, maybe think again. What was the most important advice your dad gave you growing up?
So, hands down, the best piece of advice my dad gave me was that. My dad is from the old country, right? And I'm a storyteller, bullshitter. When my dad got me at 14, I was willing to lie about everything to make a sale. Anything and everything in sight, I would make up. People would walk in, I was like 15, I looked 9, they're like, have you had this wine? I'm like, yeah, fucking awesome, my case. I mean, whatever it took, right? My dad was very much the other way. My dad is literally on one strike policy. If you lie, if you embellish to my dad one time, and it's not true, you're out.
Soviet style. So you have a Soviet dad.
I mean, it's a really sad living, right? Like he doesn't like anybody because everybody does it, right? But it was really good for me because I was the other way, and it really started a course correction for me that ultimately put me to the finish line because of social media and the transparent world. But it started with my dad, and I'm so grateful because, you know. For a lot of you here that either don't know me as you're consuming me right now, or for the ones that did, and you can think back to the first time you were aware of me, listen, I am very car salesman bullshit. There's a 15% of the audience that doesn't like me at first, and if it wasn't for my dad, those people would have stayed not liking me, and the other 85 would have converted, whereas because of my dad, the 85% that do like me and the energy, I convert the other 15% because I back up my sizzle with my steak. Right. And that has a lot to do with the fact that I've been honest and have done the right things, and I really owe that to my dad.
You can thank your dad right there.
Yeah, I love you, Dad.
Yeah. Let's go talk about the book.
Okay.
Jab, 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 right hook.
Okay.
So, what is the book? Mm-hmm. What inspired you to write it? Mm-hmm. And why did you name it Jab, 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 Right Hook?
The book's about producing content on social networks. I believe that the most cost-attractive way to communicate to the end user in today's world is by producing content that is native to the platforms that most people are spending their time on. And so I'm a humongous fan of producing content for Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and Vine. As long as you know what you're doing and who you're trying to reach and understand the nuances, VaynerMedia's been doing this for 4 years. I feel that most people use social networks as distribution instead of platforms that natively storytell. So I think most people write an article or want to do something or have an e-commerce site and then put a link on Twitter or Facebook or Google Plus or what have you and just drive people towards it. I don't believe that's the way to do it. I believe the way to do it is to respect the platform, understand that real pictures work on Instagram, infographics work on Pinterest, which hashtags work on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. And so I one day got into a rabbit hole of reading the negative reviews of Crush It and Thank You Economy, my first 2 books on Amazon, and it got me really pissed. And I don't know why I was doing this, why I was pissing myself off, but I was reading every 1-star review, 2-star review on Amazon, just getting fucking all worked up. And the basic theme was, these are 2 great books, or like, if they were willing to, the basic theme was, this is fine, but these are why books. Why? I wanted a how-to. Why did he show me? Like, I know he's winning. Show me, Gary. So I was like, fuck it, I'll show you. So the new book is a little bit of words and 100 case studies of good and bad content. I wanted to write a how-to book.
Yep.
That's what I set out to do with this book.
Yep.
I feel that social media reminds me right now of where e-commerce was right before the bubble burst, right? E-commerce was happening in 99, 2000, 2001. Wall Street collapse, all the overvalued companies collapse, and everybody abandons. Go and Google the articles written in 2001 about the internet. They're pretty funny. Like, people having real solid arguments that the internet is dead because the stock market crashed. I mean, it was ludicrous. But that's what I feel like about social right now. It's been so hyped and so talked about for the last 6 or 7 years, and most people suck at it because all they do is push on it. And I feel like there's an interesting time now to talk about it again. I think actually it's never been more interesting for me to market on social than right now because Facebook's doing organic reach drops, everybody's being cynical, but the upside has never been great. I mean, we're converting, for the clients that I work with, for my businesses, I'm converting greater than ever. My book is sold dramatically more than my last 2 because of the execution I've done within social for it. And so I just thought it was the right time to write this book.
Okay, so because when I saw the title and then I read the book and, the translation of the title, jab, 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 right hook, really means give,
and
ask, right?
Most people are just asking for your business on social or bragging about themselves. It's just very and I just feel like you have to give first. I mean, I love the leverage of giving in life. I mean, it's not that I'm Mother Teresa, I secretly believe it's leverage. Like, if you're willing to and you can, give first in whatever manner, including this interview, right? Like, I don't have unlimited time, but you give and you gain leverage. That's what I've executed in social. In 2012, on all my social channels, I asked for nothing. I put out content and responded to 1 billion people's questions. In 2013, second half, I started throwing right hooks because my book was out. I converted better because I built up equity. I mean, you're willing to do more for your parents or your best friends than you are for your acquaintances. You're willing to do more for your acquaintance than you are for a stranger. That's just how society works. And so that's what I did. And the reason I use boxing metaphor is I think social media is a science. I mean, I know data, things like what primary colors I should use on the bottom left of a picture on Instagram to over-index on likes. Like, there's a science to me. I know what time to post on Facebook. How many letters to use in a Facebook status update if I'm doing it after 6 p.m. that will over-index on shareability? It's a science to me, where most people don't think social is a science. It is a very scientific thing, and that's why I think boxing and social media are so similar. The masses just think it's like, I'm eating cheese, I'm walking my dog, here's a picture of my kid in Halloween. It's not that for me.
So I like that, give value to people first, and I mean, you had said this: give value people to give your users value, and then guilt them to buy from you, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you give a ton, and a ton, and a ton, and a ton, you're in a better position to ask, right? But I think one thing I want to clarify, because I think some people that when they hear this thesis of mine can get real cynical. I think the cynical view is like, oh, you're just doing good things to get something in return. For me, it's you give, and it gives you permission to ask. For me, as a business, especially startup, I do a lot of angel investing. I do a lot of, meeting people. I think we're clearly living through bullshit entrepreneurs right now. Everybody thinks they're an entrepreneur. I promise you, you're not. And that doesn't mean you, but the mass amount of people that aren't. Because Zucks goes to Harvard and builds Facebook. Now every single Ivy League kid, everyone thinks they're an entrepreneur. Where meanly, if you look at, from my point of view, they're just kids that figured out how to work the school system, right? And so I'm living through a world right now where I've never seen anything like what we're living through now, which is literally everybody thinks they're an entrepreneur. And there's this entitlement that comes along with it that has been stunning to me. I've always lived my life under the notion of the customer's always right, I deserve nothing, and I have to over-deliver. In our startup ecosystem, in this room, in this vibe, there's this stunning kind of entitlement that I started a startup and I should have customers. Like it's insane to me, and I think there's a huge entitlement. And so to me, by giving a lot, it just gives you the ability to ask. Doesn't mean you get. And so I think that's something people have to learn. I mean, if you do not bring value, your product will not succeed. And the amount of products that are being built right now that do not provide any value, they're features. They're features. And we have a real issue at hand.
So actually, this is good because this is a good segue to the value of hard work on social media. Because over and over you say that, back in the 80s, everything was scalable, right? Email marketing, banner ads, SEO. Now we're going more into a unscalable marketing technique, right? Which is the whole jab, interact, give.
What you're referring to is, I've been on this big kick. I think we got tricked by digital media. If you look at what first happened with the internet, everything was so scalable. Email marketing really scaled. I went from, listen, when your family business does what we did, and then in a couple years it's doing 4 times that, and the way you're doing it is by pressing a button after you write a couple things, and all the orders come in, you don't even know how to breathe, right? The way I used to do business was on Saturday, when retail got busy, I would stand on the floor for 14 hours, and if I sold you an extra case of wine, every person, boom, that's how I 30% up. Now all of a sudden there's this email thing, and I'm just gathering all this data, and I'm writing Opus 1, now available, $29.99. Press a button, 80% open rates, nobody else doing it, and we're doing $80,000 in sales in an hour. It was just right? And then SEO and SEM with search, right? You buy the keywords and you're just getting customer after customer, and you're not doing anything except being smart strategically, but once you set it up, it does its thing. And then landing page conversion, and then banner retarget, everything is quite scalable. And then the internet matures, and this social media thing comes along. And it's predicated on actually being human. It actually is a throwback. It's actually, you have to try. You actually have to read somebody's thing and be no, Pinot Noir. And you have to really work. And it's throwing everybody off because all the best email marketers or landing page conversion guys and gals or SEM or all this were used to being smart and converting, and now the market's changing / there's this other thing, and everybody poo-poos it because it doesn't do as well. It's not as easy because it's human. And that's
storytelling.
Awesome. You know what? It's awesome to me. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I think you should work hard. I think all great things are worth, hard work.
Well, this is sort of the argument with the entitlement culture, and sort of everybody wants to be spoon-fed, and I deserve this business, and you're saying no, you have to earn it. You have to jab, and you have to do the right hook. And
the market's the market, right? Sorry that somebody came along and priced I have a Vine agency. Right now, I have an agency with a partner where we represent 20 of the 30 top Vine celebrities, right? And my partner comes into my office today and goes, there's these guys that are undercutting prices. We should be getting 5 times more for these Vine videos. And I'm sorry. Okay, the market's the market. If they're offering it and the clients think it's worth it and it's, equal of value, then we can't be 5 times more. The market's the market. I hate when people cry about things like that, right? Sorry that innovation's coming. Listen, innovation doesn't give a fuck about you, me, or anybody in this room. If you do not ride it, it will crush your face. And that's it. I wish my emails would get opened at 80%. and 61% click-through. I wish. But guess what? Everybody else figured out that email marketing worked, and now there's 9 billion liquor stores that do it, and it's not as interesting. Like, it's just, you have to evolve.
Okay. I'm just I know that a lot of people want to get some really just like juicy techniques, and so let's talk about the storytelling.
Okay.
Having the content, respecting the context, right? So
Yes.
this is sort of your whole book is about this. You had said that you sold your wine at cost,
I did.
but you sold your story at a premium.
Yes.
And this is how we should approach marketing, all of us, right?
I mean,
sell our stories.
I mean, you should do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Here's something I believe in. If something's a commodity and everybody has it, it becomes a price game, right? So like every wine that I knew that everybody else had, I just sold it at cost, dead cost, invoice cost. I don't mean like how much my labor cost on top of it. I'm talking I paid $7.99 on the invoice for it, you pay $7.99. Because Jersey was a place where you couldn't sell below cost by law, that pretty much gave us the best prices. Thus, that brought people in. And then when they came in to buy Kendall Jackson or Santa Margarita or Silver Oak or Joseph Phelps Insignia, I would grab them and tell them the romantic story of the dog that ran around this vineyard in Paso. And they'd be like, oh, that's so cool. And they'd buy a case of that. And that one was predicated on my storytelling ability and, you know, picking good wine. And that one I made money on. And to me, at some level, in all of your businesses, you have to understand what's the commodity and what's not. And what's not is where you need to storytell, because that's your biggest upside.
Okay, so let's get it right into an example here. So I am a startup.
Okay.
Selling, Uber for home cleaning services. I want to start doing the jabs, right? So start creating the micro content, as you always say, micro content. I set up a WordPress blog, right?
Okay.
Start creating topics or writing topics, like becoming a media company, as you said, right?
Okay.
All of us have to sort of become a media company.
Fine.
So let's step through this. Like make a WordPress blog.
Well, let's take a big step back.
Yeah.
Right. If you're clean, first you have to know who you're reaching.
Sure.
Right. First you have to really think about who you're trying to get to. So you have to start demoing out your business.
Okay.
So if it's 25-year-olds to 32-year-olds that are single, that live, you have to start really understanding who you're trying to reach.
Okay.
To me, if you're a startup, if you've gotten any funding, you start buying. To me, the first place to go is to buy Facebook ads and to buy the actual customers. This is where people are confused about the value of Facebook. I think it's smart to buy your target audience to follow you, because not to offer anything, not to offer $20 for free, because then I mean that, but let me explain why. Because at least on Facebook, here it's great, I think it's brilliant, but in a Facebook world, you're gonna get the lowest common denominator fan that's gonna follow you just for the offer, right? And so what you wanna do is just get people that wanna follow you just for what you have, right? And then once you get them in, you start marketing to them. I mean, doing content marketing on WordPress is great, but you're running a marathon, right? And so for startups, it's scary because you start getting dividends a year or two in, you might not be in business. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot of things I would do. The first thing I would do is go to every single apartment, rental, kind of anything that could segue young professionals, blogging network, and offer to blog. Now I know Matt came out and said no more guest blogging or what have you, but I would guest blog. You've got to get yourself out in the community. I mean, the other thing is Twitter search. I think the quickest way to traction is Twitter search. I would literally search people that say people literally tweet my apartment's a mess. It's probably a good person to talk to, right?
So in that case, would you search for a hashtag?
No, I would search for the real word.
Real words, okay.
Yeah, the real word
Messy.
search. I mean, to me, that's a great way to go one-on-one. But it's, to me, there's a lot of ways to go about it, but you've got to find your unique place. But I would say, here's a good one. I would tell you an incredibly interesting place would be Pinterest, and make infographics about the cleaning part of it and things of that nature. It's just storytelling. You've got to reach consumers.
This is what I wanted to, the format. WordPress, talk about a topic that your demographic's interested, and then tweet, right? Have sort of the value proposition pointing back to your blog.
Yeah, but before you tweet, if you're tweeting to nobody, nobody gives a shit, right? So you have to actually build a community.
Okay.
And so again, listen, here's what's great about social. If you don't have a lot of money, it's incredible. Social is the great equalizer to money. If you raise $11 million, we'll fucking buy ads and convert, right? And by the way, always do both. It's a mix, but to get a community, you've got to first go to Twitter search. I mean, if you start starts a Twitter community and has 19 people following it because it's like friends and family, you can't it's not going to do anything. I mean, my Twitter profile, I literally spent 9 hours a day on Surmise. It's how I got my followers. You know, I got it by answering people's questions about what red wine to drink, or they were going to Napa, and slowly but surely those 200 become your base, and they start retweeting by hand back then and all that. So I think the first thing you have to do is grab your first 500 person audience, and the only way to do that is through sweat and blood and grinding.
So the content in context, like you had said, Tumblr in the past, animated GIFs would probably be good on the Tumblr. Pinterest, high quality professional pictures, right? So a nice house, women probably want to like pin it because they want their apartment to look like that. Instagram, you said infographics.
Instagram's more real life pictures. Infographics for Pinterest.
Oh, Pinterest, right, sorry. And then Facebook.
Yes.
Facebook,
you can really do anything you want.
The
truth is, I mean, obviously animated GIFs don't work on that platform, but for Facebook you can do a whole lot of things. I mean, listen, I don't know how many of you guys are using Facebook dark posts right now, but if any of you have ad dollars to spend, Facebook dark posts, how many people are familiar with that term? Great, this makes me pumped. So Facebook right now has a product called dark posts. I think the official term is unpublished posts. You can literally target anybody on Facebook. You can literally right now, even if they're fans of your page or not, target people that are 21 to 24, that are fans of this, that fucking ate cheeseburgers on Wednesday. I mean, the data goes deep, right? And I would tell you right now, that's probably, so for example, if you're thinking about cleaning apartments, is that what we're talking about, cleaning apartments? I didn't catch it.
See over there, any book here,
yeah.
we'll
So
over there. That's
cleaning apartments, right?
Yeah.
So like, to me, that's really interesting because you could really target people that live in New York City that literally graduated from college in May. Like you can get so granular to people that you would think need to get their apartment cleaned. You can go older if you want it. And the messaging is different, right? Like if you're gonna put a picture about your cleaning service to 31 to 40-year-old Upper East Side moms, you're gonna have a different story to tell them than 22 to 24-year-old dudes in Brooklyn. Like you can go with different, and you can target even if they're fans or not fans of your site.
Yep.
That has been the biggest conversion funnel. Facebook dark posts with the proper content, contextual to who you're targeting, has been the biggest conversion funnel ads for me since Google AdWords 2002.
Wow.
I mean, Seth Godin gave me a great quote for my book, right? Wrote up a nice blog post. I immediately had my designer create a little picture with Seth's beautiful bald head with a little quote from it, and with, that's the picture, and the link was, and here's Gary's book on Amazon with a link, and I ran that picture against people that were fans of Seth Godin on Facebook. It dismantled. It killed. I mean, the conversion was ludicrous. Like in 2 minutes, my book went, this before it came out, like from 1,000 on Amazon to like 98, right? So that's gonna work. Anyway.
So what sort of tools can we use? There's a lot of startups here. What sort of tools can we use right now? So I'll run off some. Maybe you're familiar with some of them. 33 Across, Brandwatch, Hootsuite, Google Analytics Buffer, local response, Salesforce Marketing Cloud. It's ringing a bell here? No.
Yeah, I've heard of all of them.
Sure.
Here's what I think about tools, right? I really don't know how to use a power drill, right? Does it work? Yes. But, the ROI of a piano, to me, is zero, because I don't know how to play one. The ROI of a piano to Billy Joel has been over $1 billion. So tools are great, but everybody wants to sit around and be like, oh, we're going to get Hootsuite or Buddy Media or Wildfire, right? And it's going to be awesome. I mean, Google Analytics, if you spend your whole life on it from an e-commerce standpoint, is like the most unbelievable thing you've ever seen. Google Analytics, not because we're in this building, is absurd. It fucking works. But you have to spend 10 hours a day going through all that data, testing, doing all the variable things that you have to, and people are lazy and they don't.
Got that, Google?
So to me, all these tools are fine, but if you don't use them properly, and very honestly, most of these platforms, Facebook, Twitter, what have you, you use them natively, they're just fine. Hootsuite lets you blast out to all the networks the same stuff, completely against what I believe in, because you're not making content that's contextual to the platform. So, Yep.
Could you talk about the, in the book,
Yep.
Something that you wanted to write, but you didn't.
I don't know what this is from.
Oh, so what?
There was a lot of shit that I didn't write.
No. What kind of point did you want to that you wish you wrote in the book that?
I don't know what interview you're digging from. I really don't remember.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay.
I mean, like, here are some of the things I didn't write about. Like,
Yeah.
I wish the book timing was a little bit different. For example, LinkedIn has massively changed as a platform since I finished the book, right?
Yeah.
And has become dramatically more valuable, and where they're going with company pages is really interesting to me. And if you understand the psychology of a CFO when they're on LinkedIn and you know how to storytell to them, even if you're selling wine or cleaning or whatever it may be. So LinkedIn would have been interesting for me to go a little bit further on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, it's tough to write a book about current events because everything's shifting so quickly, right? Facebook organic reach has dipped since the book has come out. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a better
Please.
question. What was your favorite case study in the book?
My favorite case study in the book was probably the Lil Wayne Facebook post where I said, "Congratulations, Wheezy, you're the first person to turn Facebook into MySpace." Because he was just spamming the living shit out of his community. The reason it's my favorite is I remember when I was writing it, I was like, oh man, I hope Birdman doesn't kill me. Sorry, little hip hop joke.
Okay. Let's go fast forward here, like your angel investing, because I'm sure there's a lot of people very interested in that. I mean, you got some really amazing deal flow when you had started. You were one of the investors in Twitter and Facebook, is that correct, 2008?
In Twitter, I bought the original CFO's stock, Blaine Cook, when he left the company.
Okay.
So that was in 2007,
Okay.
which was good.
Yeah.
Facebook was 2009. I made a video in 2008 on GaryVee that said Facebook should be worried about this thing called Twitter. It went viral in Facebook. They invited me to fly out, and I spoke in front of the whole company. Zucks liked what I said.
Yeah.
We became friendly, and in 2009, I bought my Facebook stock from Mark's parents. So that was good. In 2009, I invested in Tumblr.
Right.
That was really good.
Well, so I want to just kind of rattle off some of your investments, but starting for 2009, Simply Geo, which got bought out by Urban Airship.
AccuHire, I lost money.
Oh, you did? Okay. GoWalla and Karma with Facebook.
GoWalla was an AccuHire. I broke even.
Okay.
Karma was great because that was Facebook. Do you guys remember Karma, the gift app? Love that thing.
Yeah.
That was bought by Facebook. That was very good.
Right. And then Wildfire, which probably.
Wildfire was a big win. That was bought by Google. Cash, all cash.
Right, and
Love
all
it.
Milk too? Was Milk the same way? Because Milk got bought out by
Yeah,
Google?
made a little bit of money.
Okay. All right. Rapportive with LinkedIn and Birchbox and Path. So my question would be to you is, what sort of like what is your favorite investment themes going forward?
Entrepreneurs. I bet on the jockey, not the horse. Every time.
So if you're going to write a $50,000 check today, what would that startup look like?
I don't give a fuck. It's just how do I feel about the hustler.
Got it. So you have to meet the founder. You have to shake his hand, see the fire in his belly.
Or her hand. My
Her hand,
favorite
yeah,
investment,
sorry.
bar none, is Birchbox. They got a bunch of no's. I sat in a coffee shop at Starbucks somewhere in Midtown. I sat down with Katya and Haley, and in 4 seconds I was like, I'm in. And they got all emotional, excited. And they were like, we got so many no's in a row, Gary, you don't know how much this means. And I walked home that day. It was a summer day. It was like 40 blocks from home. I was like, let me get some exercise in. And somewhere around 20 blocks in, I was like, why the fuck did they get so many no's? This is so obvious. And it was the first time I was ever like on this female entrepreneur show. I was like, I wonder if it was two ugly dudes, if they would have got yeses, right? And it was just interesting, because my mom is my hero, my daughter is my life, and so, I'm a, Wildfire is Victoria Ransom. Like
Yeah.
I've done, I'm probably my female entrepreneur-led investments are at the top of my ROI.
Awesome. So let's talk about predictions, because you had predicted that Facebook was going to buy Instagram. That
I
happened. So let's talk about more predictions. What do you have? Who do you think, is Pinterest going to be bought out?
No, I think that ship sailed. I think Pinterest. I always thought that Google would consider Pinterest. Pinterest is very Google.
Yeah.
It's intent to buy. if you think about what makes Google AdWords a great business, is search, not always, but has a lot of intent to buy. Pinterest is intent to buy. When I look at the data of like what females pin, it's either what they want to buy or what they wish they could buy. You know, and there's other things, but there's a lot of it in there. I think it's going to be a very, very, very big company.
So
I think it's going to be way bigger than everybody in this room thinks.
So they're probably going to IPO. And
I think if the economy stays well, I don't fuck with Wall Street.
Yeah.
But if the economy stays well, that to me feels like an IPO company because it's already raised at such a. I mean, where are we now? $3 billion on that thing.
Yeah.
These things are getting so big.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think Uber is going to go. I think that's close to IP. Like I think in a year or two, that's going to be a huge one. That's a real cash business.
What about Foursquare?
I think Dennis and team have to really figure out how to make it a business. And so, but I think they will. I'm a big fan of Dennis. I hope so. I was never a Foursquare user, even though I believe in the check-in concept. I think check-in's a passive game. I don't think we want to do it. I think we're going to want our device to do it for us. But I think, because I think privacy is overrated.
Yeah.
And so, it will be interesting to see what happens with those guys. I think that I'm not great at predicting. Here's why I predicted Instagram.
Yeah.
I just know that pictures are the killer app, right? And I think that I just assumed that Facebook knew that as well. And I'm just a fan of, I think Mark's a grossly underestimated CEO. I think he'll play out to be one of the great CEOs. I think he really gets it.
I was hoping you can give us some good predictions, but I'll make this one easy. Who's gonna be the winner of the Super Bowl?
You know what's so funny about this? I'm probably gonna get it wrong. One of two teams. Here's what I can definitely say. I'm so fucking happy it's not the Patriots. You can't even imagine. I hope the Broncos win because one of my best friends is a Broncos fan. But I think Seattle. I don't know. I'll go with Seattle.
Okay, that's great. And who do you think? I mean, have you been following some of the social media like marketing for the Super Bowl ads? So who do you think would be a winner?
You know, I think after last year's Oreo tweet that just like changed. I mean, when that happened, before it started getting hyped, I literally emailed my entire company and said our business is about to change, and it did. I mean, that's what we do for a living. We do real-time content. I think everybody's gonna be waiting. I mean, I think you're gonna see a lot of bad shit. I think you're gonna see every brand try to do something about what just happened on the play before it went to commercial. Everybody's gonna be reaching and trying to replicate it. I don't think it's about that. I mean, I'm sure plenty of brands will do well. I'm sure 80 of my brands are, I'm sure my teams are sitting in the office right now strategizing, but I think we'll see some average work at best. I'm not, I don't know. I mean, I think that's the one place, Super Bowl is the one time I think it's worth running a TV commercial. So I'm a little bit more curious what happens there because people are actually paying attention to the commercials as sport, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to open up to Q&A. And so before I open this up, so this is sort of like the last question. There's going to be another last question after Q&A. But if you were 15 years ago sitting in front of a badass thought leader, author, what sort of advice would you have want to hear from that guy?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay.
I'm very weird that way. Honestly, my biggest flaw is I'm just completely all consumed in my own brain. I've read like after I write 2 more books, I'm going to write as many books as I've read. My biggest strength and weakness, is my lack of education. I have too much ego. Like, I don't want advice from anybody. I have 0 mentors. I'm just in my own brain. I'd much rather look at the front screen of every one of your iPhones or Android devices. I'd rather see the front screen of everybody's phone in here than get advice from anybody. I don't give a shit about advice. I want to see behavior.
Okay. And you have sort of a 10-book deal with HarperCollins, right?
That's what was reported when I wrote it.
Okay.
It wasn't going to go into. That's true, but what the contract said was if Crush It hit a certain threshold, I was able to opt out, which it did.
Okay.
So if you ever look, if any of you are so awesome and you have all 3 of them, you'll see the first one. It says Harper Studios, but the last 2 have been Harper Business.
Okay.
So I do have to write one more. Jab, 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 Right Hook. I signed a 2-book deal.
Yeah.
So I do have to write one more. I've been actually thinking about writing a book called Crushed It. I have literally like 5,000 emails that I've saved of people that read the book and have had awesome things happen to them. So I feel kind of lazy, and I'm like, fuck it, I can just interview these 5,000 people and just bang it out. I'm actually really gonna do that, I think.
Okay, we'll open up for Q&A. So, all right, Jack, here you go.
Thanks. You said that privacy is overrated, and with your social presence, it's very clear that you're very much about reaching out to everyone and anyone.
Yes.
Do you have a platform that you just connect with an inner circle?
Yes, Path. Path is the only place my wife lets me post pictures of our children. So like, I think privacy is overrated, but my wife doesn't, and thus if she doesn't want our children everywhere, then they're not going to be, right? And so here's what I mean by, just so I clarify, privacy is overrated. We, in our actions, prove that we don't care that much about privacy. We just do it every day. It's what we do. And the reason we don't is actually something that I find massively fascinating. I believe the reason that we don't care that much about privacy is because of three things. Number one, it's about what happens, right? The things we really care about is the health and well-being of our friends and family and ourselves and our money, right? How many people here have been hit by credit card fraud? Raise your hand now. Raise it high. Okay, about 30% of the room, right? If when you were hit by credit card fraud, you didn't get your money back, we'd really give a fuck about privacy, right? But since you do get it back, yeah, you might be inconvenienced, but all the convenience that comes, we care about our time and our convenience more than our privacy, because the truth is, when MySpace came out, everybody was like, don't let your kids on MySpace because they're gonna get raped at the mall, right? Like, I don't know if you guys remember that. But that was like literally the conversation. Meanwhile, since over the last 10 years, if you look at the data, we've gotten much safer because every one of us is a media company. We all have phones on us. It's harder to kidnap somebody in the middle of the day, right? Because everybody can take out their phone and take a picture and make a video. I mean, that's just the truth, you know? And so what's interesting to me is that I think people are the most underrated brand in the world. I think the human being is the #1 underrated brand. Here's why. Mainstream media for the last 80 years on the news has reported and story told to us about the bottom 0.00001% of our society, the people that kill and do all these wrong things. Meanwhile, when you think about the damage that we can all do to each other right now is scary, but we just don't do it. And that's why I think inherently we know that. And I think that that's why our actions are, I'll value my time over my privacy because I really can't get hurt. And of course it happens, but you know.
Okay, next question. So there's 100 different social media platforms that are out there, right? And you're new to it, so where do you start?
You start based on what you're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
So like, I would ask you what you're trying to accomplish. Because if you're starting and you sell a new sneaker that you've invented to 12 to 18-year-olds, you start on Vine, Snapchat, and Instagram. But if you're starting and you're selling to 42-year-old females, you go on Pinterest and Facebook. You start where who you want to get to is, and that's, you reverse engineer it. Got it?
Cool.
Yeah.
Next question.
Hi, I was wondering how close to saturation do you think Facebook is, Facebook marketing is? Because email was for...
Yeah, I mean, email open rates have collapsed over the last 36 months. I mean, Facebook's got its own headaches. I mean, listen, I think Facebook dropping reach on everybody is the best thing Facebook could do. It's why we still like it to some degree. I know that 22 and under doesn't. I get that. But here's how I think about Facebook. You know how when you're, and a lot of you are still in a young demo, but like when you're 18 to 28, 32, whatever you want to call it, in your younger years, maybe before you're married, your #1 job is to go to like all the new restaurants and the new clubs. You're an adventurer. You go to all these different things. When you get older, especially when you get married, you start going to your favorite places, right? You go look at a 40-year-old's habits now, they've got their 4 restaurants, right? And so that's what I think Facebook is. I'm trying to figure out what the age is, but there's some age, and I'm gonna call it somewhere between 28 and 33, that those people are not going anywhere. Because, I mean, your 42-year-old aunt is not leaving Facebook anytime soon, right? Because everything's been mapped. And so, I think it's close, but what Facebook has a huge advantage of is targeting, right? Like, and if they just figure out, I mean, I think the most brilliant thing Facebook is doing is having EdgeRank. I think Twitter needs it. Twitter's a huge fire hose. I mean, if you look at the data on what Twitter's doing and what Facebook's doing, Twitter's noisier, right? Because we don't cut the people we follow. It's a habit that we don't do. So Facebook's doing it for us. We could all benefit from Twitter looking at the data and unfollowing for us the people that we haven't favorited, retweeted, or replied to in the last year. You would all like Twitter better. And so I'm not sure, to really answer you, it will. I mean, the last line of this book is everything I just talked about will be ruined by marketers. It's what we do. So Facebook's been ruined by marketers. Instagram's going to be ruined by marketers. I mean, jelly comes out in 2 minutes, and I put GE on jelly in 1 second, my client, and articles are like, jelly's ruined. I mean, things are getting ruined in 20 minutes now, right? I mean, so I think that, I think it's still much more viable than people think. I'm actually pumped that everybody's right. I mean, every article's now like, the kids don't like Facebook, right? Meanwhile, I go to all these brands and they're like, we don't like Facebook. We need the people that buy. It's like there's just cynicism from both sides, right? They're like, one side they're talking about the kids aren't on it. On the other side, the habits that I see between 35 and 55-year-olds on Facebook is extraordinary. The buying habits are extraordinary. I don't know when it depletes. It will. But do I think Facebook disappears? I don't. Not to mention, Facebook owns Instagram, which is the new Facebook.
Okay, the wine entrepreneur you told off earlier, she has a question.
Awesome.
What advice would you give women in tech or a male-dominated industry?
I mean, could you be more specific? I mean, I think the advice, listen, here's what I know. The truth is undefeated, right? Like, if you're asking from a business standpoint, if you build a good business, people aren't going to care if you're an alien, right? So, I think all these issues, minorities, women in tech, minorities in tech is something I have a lot of heart for, especially like where I go and speak. I do a lot of pro bono in certain places of that nature.
Those are hackers upstairs.
They're pissed. That's the white man angry at this answer. I think, I just want to finish this. I think, for me, I'm completely color and gender blind when it comes to business. I just love capitalism so much. I think, everything's hard. Everybody has challenges. I'm very heightened aware. The women in my life, my mom, sister, daughter, and, wife, I mean, that is my crew. I love AJ and my dad, but I'm very heightened to that conversation. 4 of my 5 best friends that were groomsmen at my wedding are minorities. I'm heightened to, I was an immigrant that didn't speak English. I'm heightened to a lot of these things, but the truth is, you're also talking to somebody who loves the climb, right? I hate winning, by the way. I hate it. I almost think that I left wine. I gave you an answer to why I left wine. I'm not so sure that I'm being so truthful. I left wine when I felt like I was the guy in wine. Not only had the biggest store, but had the biggest presence. I love the climb. I actually think that, I like the underdog status, and so I think whether you're a white dude or a minority female, the actual answer to this question is to execute. You gotta execute. Nobody's gonna care if you can actually make it happen, period.
We'll take 2 more questions. So, do you have any thoughts on Bitcoin?
You know what's funny about Bitcoin? I really wish I had thoughts on Bitcoin. Let me explain. I'm just not mathematically smart. I can't even figure out, people are like, it's like real currency. I'm like, no, I don't. I have no fucking idea what you're talking about. I do not know what a central bank is. I have no fucking clue. So I want to desperately have thoughts on Bitcoin. I'm just not smart enough. I really do. I want it bad. I just don't get it. It sounds great, right? Like neutral, yeah, I mean, it sounds right. But it's so weird, right? I go to one of my guys, I'm like, I need to set up a server to mine for Bitcoin. He's like, if you can tell me anything of what you just said in practicality, we'll do it. I'm like, I can't do it.
Okay, we got one last question. This guy's from Europe. Hi. How do you get 5 minutes to sit down with you?
5 minutes to sit down with me. What's the real? Okay, if you can beat me in rock, paper, scissors right now, I'll give you 5 minutes. Do you know this game? Yeah. Cool. If you win, I'll give you 5 minutes. If you lose, no.
We should have to give you $5 or something.
No. I'm a good guy. We'll go 1, 2, 3, and then this. Okay? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh! So, you know me. Are you here?
You're on mic.
Fuck, I hate losing. I do like losing, but I don't have 5 minutes. I'm pissed right now.
Okay. So, Gary, I have two last questions.
Okay.
If you could add one key player to your Jets in the NFL, who would that be?
Oh, we desperately need a wide receiver.
Yeah, but who?
Well, Megatron. You know, like if I could just pick, I'll take Calvin Johnson.
Calvin Johnson.
You know, I mean, being realistic, knowing who the free agents are,
Sure.
I would take maybe Sanders from the Steelers is going to be a free agent. Maybe Decker. I don't want Edelman, that fucker. He's a Patriot.
What about Nick?
Nick scares me. He seems like he's weirdly finished at 26.
Sure. And do you have sort of a timeline of when you're going to be buying the Jets? Because you always, say you're going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think of it that way.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'm going to do it. I really do. And I know that it's like laughable. I get it. But like it's going to make for such a great story. Like when I do it, I'm like, yeah, I'm so pumped.
Oh, you're
going
going to do it. No, I can tell you're going to do it.
You know, I'd like to be 60. You know, I'm 22 years. I'm 38. I'd love to get it at 60. You know, I don't want to be fucking 90, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I'd like to be 60. You know, Woody Johnson's at an age where he's, you know, not going to sell it. Hopefully he stays nice. I want Woody to stay nice and healthy for many reasons, being a good human, and the fact that I'd like him to own it for another. You know, my big fear is that he sells it anywhere in the next decade, because that's going to then put me in a tough spot.
Okay. Sure. So I have a better value proposition for you.
Okay.
I heard you actually posted this on Facebook that you were actually a bigger Yankees fan back
In the day.
in the day.
Donnie Mattingly.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
grew up a huge.
would you
baseball
like to?
fan.
Why don't you go for something higher, like try to buy them out?
Back to the good point there. Once the Yankees started winning all those, I mean, the Yankees spent 430. Guys, baseball is not a sport. Baseball is a business. The New York Yankees spent $435 million this offseason.
Thank God.
You know, the Kansas City Royals are going to spend that in the next 40 years.
Yeah.
Baseball's a fucked up sport. I hate it for that.
Really?
I hate that it's not pure. But I like baseball. I mean, I want to love baseball. I love fantasy baseball.
Sure.
I'm all about fantasy baseball. I don't
Okay.
play fantasy football like most normal people because I love the Jets too much, and I could never just like pick anybody else.
So I was thinking about what would be a good gift for you, and I was thinking, well, hey, let's get him a Jets jersey. Obviously, I looked it up, and someone already got you a Jets jersey.
I've got all those.
Well, has anyone given you a Yankees jersey?
No, that's awesome. No, that's
With-
awesome. I love it. I love it. Thank you, man.
Number 3, that's Babe Ruth. So, ladies and gentlemen, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, great.